Hello, and welcome to Common Health from the Virginia Community Healthcare Association, or VCHA, or what we're also known as is VCHA. I'm Tracy Douglas, VCHA's Chief Executive Officer. On Common Health, we're amplifying the voices of community health, both those who give care and those who need it. And we have a wonderful, wonderful show for you today. We've got a special guest. And I was so excited when I heard that we were able to get her to come and join us today, listeners. Her name is Dana Brown, and she is the Area Development Director for the United Negro College Fund of Virginia. And Dana is responsible for establishing the short and long range fundraising goals and managing UNCF's annual fundraising campaigns. She also supports area students through UNCF's scholarship program, which we're going to get to later. That's why she's here, listeners, as we are going to talk about UNCF. And Dana is a Richmond, Virginia native, having attended the Richmond Public Schools. And in addition, she is a graduate of Virginia Commonwealth University, VCU, which we've had a number of individuals that have graduated from VCU on this show as well. You received your degree in mass communications and you minored in African American studies. So welcome, Dana.
Thank you for having me. I'm so glad to be here with you.
Well, let me tell you, like I said, we are so excited to have you here. Now, we refer to your organization, which is a scholarship organization, as the UNCF. But what does UNCF mean?
Yes, thank you for that question. UNCF, for those who may not know, is United Negro College Fund, and UNCF is the largest and most effective organization on minority health in the United States. We provide scholarships and programs to students in need to help them get their college degrees.
So tell us a little bit about UNCF. You know, I've been around for a while and knew about UNCF when I went to school back in the 80s. I was not a UNCF scholar, but knew about UNCF. So can you just tell our listeners a little bit about its legacy?
Yes, so I would like to start with the history of UNCF. So back in 1943, Frederick D. Patterson wrote a historic letter that proposed that the creation of an alliance of Black colleges that will raise money for their mutual benefit. So less than a year later, in 1944, UNCF was founded on the belief that there is strength in numbers and that HBCUs, historically Black colleges and universities, ought to make a joint effort to appeal for funds, as well as the belief that education was crucial to the mobility of Black Americans in our country.
So it does have a very rich history. You know, where I want to go with this is there are just so many things that we've talked about at Virginia Community Healthcare Association with regards to UNCF and the kinds of things we want to focus on because we feel it because of its rich legacy, but also its mission, right? Its mission is really around education. And it is around giving individuals the opportunity to be able to access the funding that they need to help support them to get through college, right? And so one of the things I do want to just touch on briefly is today is, listeners, it is Tuesday, the 17th of January. It is the day after we celebrated Martin Luther King Day. And in this country, we observe it nationally. And I feel it would be very appropriate, right, to talk a little bit about Martin Luther King and what his thoughts are and were around education. And so I did a little bit of research myself around, you know, I have read a couple of books and one of them was his papers, and he spoke around education. And it wasn't really down to a focus more around educating Black youth. It really was in general his point around education. And listeners, and Dana, if you could just bear with me just a little bit, some of the things I want to say and share with you all is that there was an article that Martin Luther King was asked to contribute to at Morehouse College in their newspaper. And he wrote this article titled The Purpose of Education. And just a few things that he said in there that really struck me as I looked at your legacy, UNCF's legacy. And in some examples that he had pinpointed as far as the purpose of education, he says, "It seems to me that education has a twofold function to perform in the life of man and in society. The one is utility and the other is culture." And that struck me, utility and culture, because you never really think about education in that way, right? But he says further, education must also train one for quick, resolute, and effective thinking. Education must enable one to sift and weigh evidence, to discern the true from the false, the real from the unreal, and the facts from the fiction. The function of education, therefore, is to teach one to think intensively and to think critically. And this is where he really got me with this around utility and culture. We must remember that intelligence is not enough. Intelligence plus character. That is the goal of true education. The complete education gives one not only power of concentration, but worthy objectives upon which to concentrate. The broad education will therefore transmit to one not only the accumulated knowledge of the race, but also the accumulated experience of social living. And that really just stood out in me. And that's really what I got it after I read this about, it really is about utility and culture. So the utility piece to help us to learn to get the knowledge that we need in order to do what we want to do with that degree, but also going to college gives us that opportunity to learn how to be social and how to experience social living, right? So with that said, talk about a little bit around the mission of UNCF and how that kind of intertwines with what was stated by Reverend King.
Yes, so we know that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. sought equality and human rights for all, but also African Americans. And UNCF envisions a nation where all Americans have equal access to college education that prepares them not only to graduate, to get degrees, but also to have rich intellectual lives, to be able to compete competitively and have fulfilling careers, and also, most importantly, to be engaged citizens in our country and serve our nation. So the mission of Martin Luther King and his vision and values dovetail with UNCF's vision to build a nationally recognized pipeline of underrepresented students to support our nation.
Right. And we here at the association, VCHA, we really like to, our health centers are located throughout the whole state. And we're located in urban settings and rural settings. And many of the patients that we see, and including our workforce, come from these communities. And one of the things that we like about UNCF, Dana, is that, you guys really do focus on everybody. You really do focus on educating everyone so that they have the access to attend school. And so with that, what would you say, in your opinion, what has changed in the 50 plus years right? Since Dr. King was assassinated, and he made these statements in this Morehouse newspaper around education. What has UNCF seen over the years?
Yes, that's a great question. So, in my opinion, over the years, we've seen a shift in the access in education. We know that there was once a time when people of color, non-white Americans in this country did not have the access to education, or it was frowned upon that we even read books or sought anything other than physical labor. So we have seen over the years not only aspirations to attend college, we've seen students graduate and also reach back to help others to achieve that education. So I think now in 2023 that we are seeing the dream that Dr. Martin Luther King dreamed those many years ago come to pass.
And listeners, I'm sure you're wondering now, why is it that you have someone from UNCF scholarship program come on a program on this podcast when we are focused around healthcare and healthcare for all, access for all? Well, listeners, let me tell you the reason why is because we recently partnered with UNCF for the purposes of creating a scholarship. And this scholarship will help open up doors for individuals that want to get into public health. We have a challenge. We have a workforce challenge, listeners, around being able to hire the talent that we need in order to work in our community health centers. And we're talking providers, we're talking nurses, we're talking dentists and dental assistants and medical assistants. We're talking a whole gamut. We even need administrators to run these community health centers. And we're finding that it's becoming more and more of a challenge because many folks are not getting into the business of healthcare. And so we felt that if we could partner with an organization like UNCF, they would be able to help us identify individuals that have the passion to get that degree, but more importantly, to be able to accumulate that experience of social living and education and bring that all into the community health centers. And so, Dana, my question to you is, when we first started having these conversations, what was some of the thoughts over at UNCF as it pertained to the idea of starting this community health scholarship?
Yes, so at UNCF, we have over 400 programs, including scholarships and internships to help our students. We award more than 7,000 scholarships each year to our students at HBCUs and our other institutions. So when we heard this, we were excited, but this is the kind of partnership we need. We were really excited to have an organization come to us with their need and their challenges of having workforce development issues and having an organization with such a long legacy and proven track record of having a large talent pool of well-deserving, well-talented students who need the extra help and support to fund their education. So we are excited. We're looking forward to this partnership.
Well, we're looking forward to this partnership as well. And I think it's important for the listeners to know, because we may have some individuals that are either looking at school now. We're in January, so we've got some seniors that'll be graduating and potentially could be interested in getting into public health or medicine. But we also have individuals who will be graduating from a 4-year institution, pursuing a medical degree, a DO degree, dental masters in psychology. So what does it take for an individual to qualify for, say, our scholarship? And then what is it that UNCF will do to help promote this scholarship?
Yes, thank you. So, to qualify for this scholarship that we're creating with VCHA, the goal would be to provide need based renewable scholarships for graduate and professional students. And so, to qualify, you must meet certain criteria, which to include possess a minimum cumulative GPA of a 3.0 on a 4.0 scale. You must have and will complete the free application for student financial aid. You must have demonstrated an unmet financial need verified by your college or university. And because we know that this organization supports the state of Virginia, you must be a resident of the Commonwealth of Virginia and attend a college or university within close proximity, ideally to one of the targeted host locations, and where there's VCHA member organizations. And then also, because we know that it's important to have the most qualified, most dedicated, passionate candidates for this scholarship, we will want to have those people be graduates or professional students enrolled full time or pursuing a PhD or master's, MD or DO in one of those fields we mentioned, which are dentistry, public health, psychology, medicine, social work, or one of those colleges or universities.
So, what will UNCF do to help identify those candidates that meet those qualifications? What is it that you all do? And not just really for our scholarship, but for all the programs that you have. What investment does UNCF do to make that happen?
Yes, so UNCF, we have a national office in DC and we have offices located throughout the nation. We have a large database of over 100,000 students, alumni, parents, people who are interested in the programming that we have at UNCF. Again, we have over 400 scholarships, internships, fellowships, adding new ones daily. So students are able to access that database, start by submitting a generic application to be able to search the database for scholarships that meet their criteria. So if you're an undergraduate looking for scholarships, you'll be able to search. If you're someone who's pursuing a secondary education, someone who has a certain GPA, UNCF not only provide scholarships based on need, but also merit, or also by industry and field. So if you're a person who's interested in health or business or STEM, we have programs for you. And we want you to go to uncf.org forward slash scholarships and browse our database to see the programs that are available.
And again, listeners, of course, I want to always promote the scholarship, the public health scholarship that we have here. But I do think it's important that the listeners also know about some other scholarships that stand out a little bit with UNCF. So, Dana, if you could just give us just a rundown of some other programs that UNCF offers. Individuals.
Yes, so we offer a number of other programs like our K through 12 education program initiative. We have social justice initiatives that we are launching here specifically in the state of Virginia to help students provide internships and support to nonprofit organizations in the area. We have scholarships and programs for medical students, nurses, those are interested in being entrepreneurs. We have, again, over 400 programs and internships, and we believe that we have something for everyone who has aspirations of achieving a college degree.
Now, money doesn't grow on trees. And I know that we've made a commitment to our program, and we're looking for our scholarship to be around for the next 50 years. But we also know we have to make a commitment. And so what do organizations such as ours that is supporting the community health scholarship and then other scholarships that you all have, what is it that for other businesses that may want to get in, partner with you all and offer something very similar to what we're doing, what is it that we would have to do to help continue the sustainability of that scholarship? What are some of the things that you would recommend to businesses who are thinking about doing this?
Yes. So our motto at UNCF is a mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. It is our hope that organizations like yours will invest in our students, in our communities, and the futures of our leaders of tomorrow by supporting our special events, by supporting our programs and scholarships like this one, and by volunteering with us, by serving on our leadership councils, by making donations to our mission, to our causes, and really showing up, not only saying that you want to make a change, but being a part of the change by taking action.
Yes, and it's interesting when you had said what the motto is: "A mind is a terrible thing to waste," and you know. I didn't, you hear that all the time and everywhere, and I didn't know that it originated with UNCF. What went behind that motto? Do you know what?
I'll be transparent. I'm not sure, but I'm glad we have it. I remember as a child always hearing it. A mind is a terrible thing to waste. A mind is a terrible thing to waste. So now to be here working at the UNCF, it's like a full circle moment for me.
Right.
So I'm really excited. I wish I knew what the thought process was, but I'm glad we have that motto.
Yeah, I am too. But I think it also goes back to the work that UNCF has done off the back of its legacy, right?
Yes.
Why it even started. And so, yes, it was quite an enlightening moment when I said, oh, wow, it really started with UNCF. One of the things that I'm always very curious about, and listeners, we're going to be actually bringing, in one of our other shows, we want to bring students that are medical students and some residents, and have some conversation with them in the very near future. But Dana, I mention that because I'm really curious to see or to hear from you. What are you hearing from our youth these days as far as education and maybe commitment around education? What are some of the things that you're hearing from these young people?
Well, it's twofold. I do believe that one, students, college-bound high school students still have a desire to attend colleges and universities and still see the importance of a college degree. But then also, we hear that students are looking for new ways to become educated. So they're exploring non-traditional careers. I know that some people may not have the aspiration to be a doctor or lawyer. Some are interested in entrepreneurship. And so we are always evolving, always changing, and making sure we address the issues of the future leaders of tomorrow by identifying those areas and finding partners to help us support those initiatives.
That's interesting. I love these young folks, because they literally think and do differently from my generation, and they're very creative, and they move very fast. It's like if you can't meet them where they are, then they've moved on, and I think part of that has to do with the intelligence that they're bringing to the table, and I think they can be really successful if they choose to either get a college degree or if they choose to go another route to learn a skilled labor. I know that you guys partner, you've mentioned throughout our time together, HBCUs. What are some of the colleges that you have partnered with? And if we can talk a little bit about Virginia, but we could certainly learn about some of the colleges outside of Virginia as well. And then what does the colleges bring to the table as well in working with UNCF?
Yes, so to put the focus on Virginia for one moment, we have 37 UNCF member schools throughout the nation. And here locally in Richmond, Virginia, we have one UNCF member school, and that school is Virginia Union University. President Lucas is there, and they've had a longstanding partnership with UNCF. So I wanted to give them a special shout out. They partner with us throughout the year on many initiatives. Also, throughout Virginia, there are four other HBCUs who are not member schools, but we also support Norfolk State, Hampton University, Virginia State University, and there is a HBCU in Virginia that many do not know about. Virginia University of Lynchburg, which was once a seminary school. So we here in Virginia, we have five HBCUs, one member school, and throughout the nation, as I said, we have 37 member schools. And most popular, we hear about the Spelmans, the Tuskegees, FAMUs. So we have a number of great schools, but I like to keep the focus on here in Virginia, where we know we can make the most impact.
Yeah, totally agree. And I think listeners, that was why it was important when we partnered with UNCF for our community health scholarship, was that we really feel that there's a lot of good talent here in Virginia. So we just felt it was really important that that be a condition on the scholarship, and folks who can qualify, is that you need to be a resident of Virginia and attending a Virginia school. One of the other things is that you guys have an internship program. And, I think the internship program could be very beneficial, right, to the individuals that are under our scholarship. And so that would be one thing we would want to promote. So talk to us a little bit about what's involved in that internship program.
Yeah, so depending on the program, the internship looks completely different. We focus our internships on twofold: the students and the organizations who are housing our students for internships. And so that can vary. Some internships are throughout the 8-week program, some are throughout the entire summer, but we focus on the organization and their needs. So we know for your organization that there's a need for talented individuals who live and work and serve in the communities of the patients that you guys serve and represent. So it's all about representation.
Right, exactly. Well, we're very excited on a couple of things. One is, since we started this scholarship program, we are going to be hosting a golf tournament. So listeners, please keep your eyes and ears open to VCHA's website, because we'll be talking about that tournament so that we can raise some funds to help continue to support our scholarship program. But we also know that UNCF puts on here in Virginia a masquerade ball. So Dana, if you could just tell the listeners real quickly about this gala.
Yeah, so I'm excited. We are hosting our 6th annual Hampton Roads UNCF Mayor's Mass Ball on Saturday, March the 11th at the Renaissance Portsmouth Waterfront Hotel in Portsmouth, Virginia. And the Mayor's Mass Ball is a nationally recognized premier fundraising gala that happens in major cities across the nation. And it serves as a platform to honor deserving leaders in our community and to raise critical funds we need to support our students.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So listeners, please go to UNCF's website so that you can learn more about the masquerade ball. I've been, and I've actually been to the one that's usually in Philadelphia, and it was a lot of fun. And actually, that's where I learned more about UNCF and prompted me to say, we got to talk, because this thing is something that I think can really help us in addressing our workforce challenges. So as I close out, the one thing I always like to do, Dana, especially when I have guests who are from the Virginia area, that I always like to pick their brains because, I've only been in the Virginia area now for about 2.5 years, and I'm always looking for a good place to go, a good place to eat, and all that. So I'm going to put you on the spot here. You have to tell me, where is there a good place, a good local eatery that you could go to and just remember what you've eaten when you've walked out of there?
Okay, so I will say that Richmond, Virginia has some of the best food you could possibly ever have. So there's a little place that I like. It's Little Angela's Italian restaurant. They have the best stuffed mushrooms ever.
Uh-huh.
They have 2 locations, but I freaking the one on Staples Mill. That's like my little hideaway. It's never too busy. Perfect food. If you want something that warms your heart and that is really tasty and has that like your grandmother made it.
Right.
That's the place to go.
Okay. All right. So Little Angela's. All right. Then I will definitely try that.
Yeah.
Before we close out, Dana, is there anything else that you'd like for our listeners to know as it pertains to UNCF?
Yes, I would like to leave our listeners with this message that a mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. And your investment today is the investment in tomorrow's future, and to consider where you can make the most good.
Mm-hmm.
And so that can be supporting an organization like UNCF or VCHA, but what can you do today to make someone's life better?
Well said. Very definitely well said. All right, listeners, thank you. And again, please go to UNCF's website, learn more about the programs. If we have any individuals listening to this program who are interested in getting into public health, please learn more about our scholarship, the Community Health Scholarship. You can also find that on our website. That will fill you in a little bit around that. So with that, listeners, until next time. I want to thank my guests for joining us today. And thank you to all the listeners for tuning in to Common Health, brought to you by the Virginia Community Healthcare Association. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support Common Health, I encourage you to hit the subscribe button, share it with others on social media, leave a rating and review, or visit our website at www.vcha.org. This is Tracy Douglas. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.